So let's talk about difficulty in video games. This is one that I'm sure you have your own opinion on because difficulty in video games is something that varies wildly depending on what you're playing and the preferences that you have, and sometimes just the mood that you're in. Now, there are games that range from very easy to very hard, and most of the time that is on purpose by the designer. Sometimes the difficulty of the game actually helps influence and tell the narrative that the player is supposed to be engaging with and responding to. Think of Dark Souls. This is a game that is wildly compared to difficulty. But the thing is that the game itself, its story revolves around that. It is a dark and gritty world filled with just depression after depression, and the game is supposed to be hard. The designer and creator himself talked about how the difficulty of Dark Souls played into it, and that was his purpose from the very beginning. So when a game's difficulty is designed by the designer, that would be you when you're making your own games, if you have it in mind to be one way, then, in my opinion, that is the way it should be. And you shouldn't have to compromise by making easy modes, or even on the flip side, if you make an easy game, you shouldn't make a hard mode just because that's what people want. Now, if you're making a game that doesn't matter if it's hard or difficult, then yeah, you probably want to include ways for everyone to be able to play it at their level that they enjoy. But if your game is intrinsically tied to the difficulty, whether that be hard or easy, or if it's supposed to just be right in the middle, then as a designer, you need to stick to what you want to do. The story, the game, and the experience that you want the player to have is the first and biggest concern that you have as the designer. Well, I guess those are several different concerns, but you understand what I mean. The overall experience, difficulty plays into that. So, difficulty in games is a very subjective thing. Some people like games that are really hard. Some people like games that are really easy. Some people don't care and they'll just play everything that is suggested to them. But difficulty in games, whether it be hard, easy, or right in the middle, is up to you as the designer. If you have an idea for something, stick to it. If it is to be as accessible as possible, then definitely add in those accessibility options, whatever those look like. But that's all I want to talk about on difficulty. You could probably have an entire course on difficulty and everything that that entails, but this is just a very brief discussion to get you thinking about it and to get you going where you need to be. So up next, we're going to talk about obvious game expectations and if you should subvert them, and then how to do that.